Hey y'all, welcome to Fitting and Homemaking. My name is Sarah, and today we are going to be doing a whole house reset, except for this is not the whole house reset that I wanted you guys to be watching for today, but life has happened. If you are used to my other videos, you might notice that my voice sounds a little bit weird, but yeah, things have been happening. Life has happened. So this video is actually a whole house reset video from back in June, and I uploaded it as an ASMR version because at that point life was also happening, and I had done this whole house reset that took a really long time, and then I was going to do the voiceover in my hotel room because I was traveling for a family wedding, and then I just ended up having some good quality time with my niece, and I didn't want to do an hour voiceover and keep her awake and all of this sort of thing. We chatted very late into the night. So I just never got back around to doing the voiceover for this like I said I would. So I am doing that now because what has been happening lately is that last week I only had one of my normal filming days, and I was expecting to have 2 extra days of film, or 1 extra day of filming, so a total of 3 days of filming during the week to get ahead, because this week, as you may know if you're, well, you know if you're American. If you're not American, maybe you know that this is the week that America has their Thanksgiving this year. So I was I had planned on filming ahead for the Thanksgiving holiday, and making sure that I had those videos lined up for you. And one of them was going to be a whole house reset. However, last week I was going to have an extra filming day on Thursday, and then I was going to have some filming time on Friday. But Thursday afternoon was supposed to be the Thanksgiving lunch at my kids' daycare, and I was going to go to that, so I was working from home that day, which is why I had an extra filming day. And I pulled up to the daycare, and there were 2 fire trucks and an ambulance outside of daycare. So that was a surprise, and all the kids were outside just kind of looking around and playing a little bit. So I roll up and, get on the other side of the playground fence and start chatting, and they're like, and then in the app I get this notification, hey, there's been a small fire, everything's fine. It was put out by the staff. It was fire extinguished, and then they called our local fire department to come and check to see if it was okay for the kids to go back in and, do all their safety checks. So I have never seen so many firemen in one place at a single time, and I've been in situations where there are a lot of firemen before, but I guess because they figured this is a daycare and none of the people that they are going to help essentially can help themselves, that they sent a lot of folks, or maybe it was just a slow day at the fire department, I don't know. But there were like 3 firemen. I'm saying firemen, I really mean like fire people. There were some female firefighters there as well. Or some lady firefighters. I'm sorry, I guess female is a very charged word now because people are using it to mean not great things. Anyway, side tangent about semantics in linguistics. Anyway, so there were just a lot of firefighters. There we go. That's a gender-neutral term. There were a lot of firefighters there, and they said, hey, it's safe for the kids to stay the rest of the day, but we have to keep the HVAC off because there's smoke in the HVAC. And if you can take your kids home, please do that. We will be closed tomorrow to clean everything and, essentially flush out the HVAC system so there's not smoke coming through, right? So the staff did a great job. The fire was actually started, I think, so the kids were getting a normal, like, cafeteria-based lunch that was a cafeteria version of the catered lunch that the parents were going to get. And they've done this years before, and it's not been an issue. But I guess one of the caterers knocked over one of the burners that keeps the chafing dishes warm, and the tablecloth just like went up in flames. So the staff got a fire extinguisher and took care of it, right? So like that was great. Like that worked like it was supposed to. But then of course there's the compound that's in the fire extinguisher that's like all over that classroom, which happened to be my daughter's classroom. I don't think the kids were in there at the time because you don't want a bunch of 4- and 5-year-olds running around a classroom while you're trying to set up a buffet, right? So I think she was in a different classroom, but yeah, all of their stuff just got covered in the fire extinguisher compound, and I'm not quite sure what's in them. It's just a chemical of some sort that you probably should not, put your extra clothes on after they have been, exposed to that. So I was given a bag to put all of my daughters, like a change of clothes and that sort of thing in, and take home and wash, and her blankie, their coat, and everything. But yeah, I mean, they dealt with it exactly like how you would want them to deal with it. But that meant that I was watching the kids for a day and a half that I did not plan on watching my kids, and I had to take off work and this sort of thing. Wow, I'm really going gung-ho in this. Go me. Dusting and moving the table and everything. Did I mop in this one? Anyway, sorry, I got distracted from my story by what was actually happening on screen for a minute. I'm even dusting those lampshades, which I think I have to go over with a wet wipe later, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe I didn't show that on camera, though. But yeah, so they reacted exactly like how you would want someone to when there was a fire around your children. No one got hurt, everyone was safe. But yeah, that put a major kink in my plan, so I couldn't film ahead. And then this week, my husband is off work all week for the holiday. He just gets way more vacation time than I do. And then tomorrow, I am working from home and was going to film. And that would have given me enough time to film and, post and stuff before the holiday. But then daycare contacted us that my son had a very slight fever, like under 100 degrees, so we didn't have to pick him up. But since my husband was at home just resting, he did go ahead and pick him up just to make sure he was okay. So we'll see if he's good to go. My husband texted me when he got my son home. He was like, "Oh, no, thermometer, it's like 98.1. I'm like, okay. We have one of those forehead thermometers, so not terribly accurate. They have an in-ear thermometer at the daycare, so I trust their measurement a little bit more than our measurement at home. Because generally, we can tell if our kids have a fever or not, like if you just feel their forehead. So knowing round about the number is not, having an exact number for the fever, for if they have a temperature is not super important to us, because we can kind of gauge now when they are sick, and when it's just kind of like a low fever. But, so my son is home with my husband. I think he'll be okay to go back, but he has had a little bit of a cough. My husband's been under the weather for a little while now, and as you can tell from my voice, I have some nasaliness and I think it's just being exhausted, to be perfectly honest. So much for being able to try to keep with my last video and living a bit with the seasons and slowing down as the days get a little shorter. I am trying. That is why I am using this film and just doing the voiceover over it, rather than relying on absolutely having to bang out something being filmed tomorrow. I have a really fun video that I was going to film tomorrow that I might actually film tonight and see if that works out. I don't know. The kids would have to be in bed, but maybe that'll give it a nice dark nighttime vibe, because I'd have to do it out in the summer. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that happens. But I do have some nice decor videos coming up for you. I was going to switch over to the decor tomorrow. That was one of the filming I was going to do. I was also going to do some cleaning tomorrow and film that to get a little bit ahead, but life. So that's the very drawn out long explanation of why I'm just doing the voiceover for this video and just re-releasing this film. So apologies that this isn't a brand spanking new video for you. Apologies if you've seen this before. You can just skip this one if it is not your thing. But I did want to do a big house reset, because by the time this uploads, Thanksgiving will be tomorrow, and I feel like people maybe are going to be trying to bang out some cleaning this Wednesday. At least my American viewers will maybe be trying to bang that out and need some motivation and need someone to body double with. So let's get that going for y'all. This is nearly an hour-long video, and I saw that and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to talk for an hour. And then I thought, did I not speed this up because I couldn't remember, and then I looked at it, I'm like, no, it is intensely sped up. I wonder how long this actually took me in real time. But as you can see, we are changing the bed linens, which is something that I desperately need to do. And I always love it when we have fresh bed linens. And I am actually putting these pillows into the sham, which I almost never do because it kind of seems like a waste of time, but the bed looked really nice with them in the sham. So I was like, no, I'm doing all of this work today. These babies are going into these shams. And you can just see me kind of fluffing up the pillows again because they are king-size pillows. So sometimes they get a little bit of a, what's the opposite of a lump? A divot in the middle. Yes, a divot in the middle. So even watching this kind of motivates me to clean. But if I do cleaning tomorrow and my son is home with me, I will not be filming it because that's too much, especially with how involved my son would want to be with the camera portion of it. I would have to completely cut out all the audio because all you would hear is cheese, cheese. My kids are very much trained to take pictures. Their dad is more of the picture taker than I am. I just don't have my phone on me that much intentionally because I don't want to kind of absent-mindedly just be checking my phone. And I find that I do that if I have it on me, so I try not to have it on me too much when I'm around the kids. Because I don't want to give that example, but then, yeah, sometimes I go and get it just to look things up. But this past weekend, we went to a Christmas parade, and dear Lord, it was the longest Christmas parade ever. And there were like really big gaps in between things. I live in Central North Carolina, so it was the Raleigh Christmas Day Parade. And unfortunately, I think it was in 2022 or 2023, there was a very, very unfortunate accident, which I'm almost like, I kind of don't want to talk about it because it's going to bring the vibe down, but I'll tell you guys just because now I've teased it, so I can't like not tell you. But there was an incident where there was a large truck that was, and I'm going to get the terms wrong, but it was like jacked up, not jacked up as in messed up, although it was that as well, but jacked up as in lifted. Lifted would be the word that I'm looking for. I can't believe this. We have so many of these in my area, and I couldn't even remember what they're called. It was lifted, and the person who did it themselves because they owned a company where you could like soup up your truck and like get it super lifted and all of these sorts of things. And I don't think it was in the Christmas parade. I think it was a different parade. But something happened where his brakes went out, and he actually ended up running over a little girl who was in the parade, and she ended up not making it. So now they are very, very careful. I think the next year with that parade, there was no mechanized vehicles, and it like everyone had to walk or like a bike, like pedal bicycle type of deal. But now there are way, way more stringent requirements for any of the parades in our area to prevent such a tragedy like that. I mean, the little girl didn't make it. Her family's life is, I don't want to say ruined because that's too like simple of a way of referring, like dealing with grief. And I very luckily have not had that experience. So I can't understand how they feel, but that's, a significant trauma and sorrow in your life that I can't imagine how to move past, right? I know people do, but I can't imagine how you do that. And also for the guy, I mean, yes, he was at fault because he was the one who modified his truck in such a way, and it had not passed inspection, and the parade officials were at fault because they did not check to make sure that this vehicle had passed mandatory state inspections and like was okay to be pulling afloat and stuff. And the parade and all this sort of thing. But yeah, so I'm assuming his business went under because that's what his business was, and obviously in a critical moment, his work failed, and I forget the kind of jail time he got for it, because I think it was charged as involuntary manslaughter. But yeah, like, I can't imagine, like, as the person who did that, like, absolutely not on purpose, right? Like, how do you move on from that, too, from, like, that perspective? So it's just horrible all around, that situation. So I don't know. That was a very roundabout way of saying this parade that we went to this last Saturday lasted for forever. And we got there an hour late. We got there an hour into when it started. I think it started at 9, and we got there a little bit after 10. We didn't see Santa at the end of this parade until 12:30. Now, my kids normally eat lunch at 11, and we knew the parade was long. Last year we went, like, when it was beginning, and we left. We tapped out. We're like, there's, like, no end in sight. But yeah, this year I feel like it could have been about an hour shorter because there were such big gaps in between some of the, I don't want to call them act, but between the groups in the parade, that we were like, is that it? I feel like there should be, like, Santa and cops at the end of the parade, because I don't know about other countries, but in America, at the end of a Christmas parade, you have Santa, and then at the end of most parades, you have cops, you know, sweeping the last part of the parade, signaling that the parade is over. But yeah, so I don't know if the spacing was because of that incident, and that whenever they had, because there were vehicles in this parade, whenever they have vehicles, they're just making sure they have a wide gap in front of them. But I mean, it was like a good 5 minutes sometimes of just nothingness on the parade route. And I've never really experienced that in a parade before. I feel like maybe we didn't stay long enough last year to experience that. There were some gaps, but, like, not nearly as long. So I don't know if it was like they're purposely putting those gaps in, or if it's just the parade is so long that just the walking folks fall behind, like the people with the cars pulling the floats and that sort of thing. But yeah, my kids were just eating it up. Like, they have people walking dogs, they have police and firefighters and ambulances, people driving those sorts of things throughout the parade. What did they have? They had people on those one-wheeled vehicles, like where the wheel is in the middle and then you stand on either side of it, kind of like a skateboard. I know there's a name for those, and I'm not being able to think of them. Are they hoverboards? That's always been weird to me because there's a wheel on it. I think they're called hoverboards, though. But yeah, there was that sort of thing in addition to the traditional floats, the traditional bands, the traditional, like, dance troupes, those sorts of things. But yeah, my kids and I loved it. The weather was perfect. It was like 70 degrees out, even though it's late November now, you know. We've just been having really strange weather. I think it's supposed to be in the 20s in a few days here. So it's been like, it's fall, and it's like, nope, not quite. We're not fully ready to commit to fall yet. But yeah, the days are getting quite short. I'm glad we've had the time change back to standard time, because it doesn't take too terribly long for it to get light in the morning after the kids get up. But yeah, it is so dark so quickly at night now, which is fine. I'd rather it be dark by the time the kids need to go to bed and get lighter earlier in the morning so that they can go and play outside when they have a lot of energy, rather than the other way around like it is in summer, where it stays light for so long, because not only are the days really long, but we also switched to daylight time, which I am not a fan of. Let's just pick a time zone and stick with it, right? But yeah, then I'm also in a job that deals with, I myself don't do any coding, but I work with a lot of programmers, and I know what a PETA that would be to walk back all of the programming changes that would need to happen. It would be a mess, but is it worth the mess for that 1 year to not ever have to deal with the daylight savings time bug again. I think maybe it is. Maybe it is. All right, guys, sorry. This is just going to be the most random voiceover ever. Looks like we're making some good headway on some laundry here. Getting some stuff hung up to dry. I'm actually vacuuming and mopping spaces in this. I'm so proud of past Sarah. That was so nice of me. I'm being surprised by what is in this video just as much as you are. Oh, there's Max making a cameo. I must have, based on the amount of light coming from the right-hand side of the shot, I must have the front door open and just the storm door closed. And he must be looking outside at something. So, yeah, I'm hoping maybe I'll have some time to film tomorrow. But we'll see if my son is home or not. If he's at daycare and feeling good, that's great. I will get a little bit of time to myself before the craziness of the long holiday weekend. Luckily, we are not traveling far. Well, I say luckily, but usually we go up to my husband's grandmother's place for Thanksgiving, and she lives about 3 hours away, so usually we would drive up and stay overnight. Unfortunately, due to her physical health is okay, but she has Alzheimer's, and that's gotten to a point where she is no longer able to live on her own. So this is the first year in, like, probably my husband's memory that he is not going to his grandmother's house for Thanksgiving, which is very sad. But that also means that I get to have a holiday with my family, which I haven't had since I got married, essentially. Y'all, I'm very upset right now. Upset as in I paused the voiceover there before to blow my nose and then resumed the voiceover and spoke for another 20 minutes. And then I had to pause again to blow my nose, and my computer freaked out, so I just lost 20 minutes of voiceover, and I'm trying to remember what I talked about and what I haven't talked about. I do remember saying after the last pause that the way my voice was sounding was not because I was upset, but because I needed to blow my nose. But yeah, now I kind of don't know what to talk about because I can't remember exactly everything that I said. Sorry if there was a really gross snuffly sound in there. Can't remember exactly everything I said, but yeah, we're having, I listened to last, but we're having Thanksgiving with my family. We did go up and visit my husband's grandmother for her 100th birthday earlier this month, but we're not going to go up again for Thanksgiving since she is no longer, unfortunately, living at her house. She is having to live in an assisted living situation, not because she is physically ill, but because she has Alzheimer's and it's just progressed to a point where it's not really safe for her to live on her own. But yes, we visited her and we went to her 100th birthday party and that sort of thing. And my husband is tomorrow going to drive up and take her out for lunch so that he does get to see her for Thanksgiving. So it's a little bit sad. It's an ending of an era. I don't think my husband has ever not gone to his grandma's house for Thanksgiving, so that's a little sad, but I am looking forward to getting some of the food that we traditionally eat in our family and or for my side of the family that I haven't had in years. And I think next year we're going to start the rotation of going up to Michigan for Christmas because that's what we do on my family side for Christmas, and we just haven't done it for financial and logistic purposes of having small children. And you know, it's an 11-hour drive, which I'm fine doing, but the kids are not. I'm not sure if I talked about the staying overnight when we've been visiting my husband's grandmother or not. But that's a 3-hour drive, and we stay overnight for that because 6 hours in the car with sitting in between the 6 hours for a meal is just, that's not something I want to do to the kids. They need to be able be allowed to be kids and get out their energy by running around outside and those sorts of things. So I'm certainly not going to attempt 11 hours in the car with them. Maybe if they were super tiny babies we could, but it's just not worth it. So next year maybe we will get my side of the family in the Christmas rotation, but that's why when I said before we haven't done any holidays with my family, that's what I meant. It's, partially by choice, partially because I promised my husband we would be going to his grandmother's house every Thanksgiving because she was 94 when we got married. So, and that's pretty much the only time of year that we see her. So we did go up and visit, like I said before, but it'll be interesting to see because I'm sure my side of the family's traditions have changed. My aunt and uncle are coming over to my parents' house as well, but, growing up, we would watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and then we would watch football in the afternoon and have, summer sausage and Ritz crackers and cheddar cheese and, chips and salsa and all these sorts of things. So it was, we would watch a little bit of there's a National Dog Show is on after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which we would watch in the morning. So I don't know how much football we're going to be able to watch just because I know my daughter's looking forward to watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the stop-motion version, where I think it's Burl Ives who narrates that, and he's the stop-motion snowman narrator. So we will see what happens. We are in the era of creating new traditions now as we have our own young family. But I still do want to have them exposed to some of my side of the family's older traditions since they have not had exposure to that yet. So let's see, what else did we talk about? I can't remember, and it beeps me off so much. I will not be pausing to blow my nose again. Maybe I will just blow my nose and then go back and edit the sound down so you can't actually hear it rather than pausing and playing the computer lottery of will it or won't it work again. I wish I was better about letting go of things like that, but I'm the type of person who kind of ruminates over that, there's lost work and what did I say and I need it to be the same, and I just need to get to a place where I just release that negative energy and be like, it is done. In the grand scheme of things, it absolutely did not matter. You are just chatting about absolutely useless nothing so that people can have something to listen to while they clean their house. And if they occasionally like to look up at the screen, they will see you cleaning with them as well. And hopefully that will be motivating for them. I know I find it motivating. I was catching up a little bit the other day on some YouTube videos on, the people that I subscribe to, because I've gotten quite a bit behind just because it's been busy. Like I said, the daycare fire, and then this week I'm not sure if I will have a day to film or not, and I'm behind. But yeah, there are kind of the core people that I watch, and that does change over time. I think in this one I'm probably listening to a history thing because I think I was really into there were a few history channels that I listened to over the summer that I was really into, and I think that was before I got into the farm video kind of obsession that I had, where it's time period farming that these archaeologists and this historian do. I think I talked about that at more length in my pumpkin seed video, so you can go check that out if you want to know more. I won't go into it terribly here, but yeah, I kind of go through phases of things that I'm really intensely into, and I'll gobble up a bunch of information about that at a time. And right now I am just trying to improve the channel, which it makes me bummed that I'm having to do a voiceover over old footage, but I'd rather do that than not have you guys have anything for what I feel is traditionally a really big cleaning day in America, the day before Thanksgiving. At least if you're having people over, because then, things are clean for the next day and you can, get up early and do all your meal prep and that sort of thing if you don't order in food or order a catered or have a catered lunch or whatever. So yeah, this year, oh, I guess I can talk about that. This year, I am responsible for bringing the sweet potato casserole, which I did make I had a Thanksgiving series last year that I enjoyed doing. So the sweet potato casserole that my family makes, I did a video of that. And I actually have lost the recipe card, and I usually really only do make it around Thanksgiving. So I will maybe have to go back and rewatch that video just to get the recipe because I can't remember where I wrote it down. But I'll be making that for Thanksgiving, and then I'm also responsible for the rolls. And I do want to do like a yeast roll rather than just buying some rolls from the store, like doing some frozen rolls or Pillsbury biscuits or something like that. But traditionally we have rolls rather than biscuits on Thanksgiving. So I think what I'm going to do so as to not be a pain in the ass to my mom, which that maybe sounds mean to myself, but I know what it's like. We've hosted Christmas at our house for my husband's family, and we do a brunch thing, and when people are bringing a bunch of dishes over, like, oven space becomes a premium. So I don't want to be interrupting my mom's like baking schedule on Thanksgiving, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pre-prepare the sweet potato casserole and just have it like ready to go in the fridge for Thanksgiving Day, so we can just pack it in the car, and then that just needs to like be warmed up in the oven, so that should be fine. And I'll let her know, hey, this is going to need to be warmed up in the oven, which I'm assuming she will know because she, and like just generally is the one who makes that. And then with the rolls, I think I might just get all of the ingredients because I don't have time off leading up to Thanksgiving. And if I'm, possibly going to have a sick child that I'm taking care of, my husband does have off, but like I said, he'll be out of town on my one work from home day. And then on Wednesday, I'll be back in the office. So it's not like I can prepare yeast rolls in between things at the office. I mean, I guess I could, but I feel like that'd be stupid. Like, what would I do with that, right? So I think what I'm going to do is just bring all of the ingredients over because yeast rolls actually don't take that long to rise. Bring all of the ingredients, all of the bowls that I need, all of, the pans that I need to my mom's house just when we get there, start making them so then they have time to rise, and then I can just put them in the oven then. So I will touch base with my mom and let her know that that's what I'm planning on doing, but that way I can use so there's a dining room, a formal dining room table in my parents' house, and then like what we've always called a breakfast room table, but it's the table that's in the eat-in area that is usually attached to a kitchen. So in my house, that's why I think I've called it a breakfast table before, which is maybe confusing, but our dining room table is in the eat-in kitchen area, and we just refer to that as our dining room because we don't have a separate room. Well, in my parents' house, they do have a separate room. They have a formal dining room where you can like insert extra leaves into the table to make it bigger. And I think they have 8 or 10 chairs for that table. I think it normally sits 8, but then if you put the leaf in, you can fit 2 more people in. 2 more or 4 more? I can't remember. But they're like eat-in kitchen breakfast area table. You can fit 6 people normally. So I think I might just bring all of my stuff that I need, prepare the rolls over there so that I'm not in the way of like the actual other things that probably need to be happening in the kitchen. And then rolls take 10, 12 minutes to bake, something like that. They don't take long. So that should be fine to pop those in the oven right at the end, or even like an hour or 2 before, because the rolls don't have to be hot. They're nicer if they're hot, but it's not obligatory for them to be piping hot right out of the oven. So I'll see if my mom's cool with me handling it that way, because I've thought about, well, maybe I can make them the night before and then you just put them in the fridge overnight, and then you take them out for their second rise right before you put them in the oven. So that would be like the trip out to their house, and I could just put them in the oven then. But somehow I don't think that I'm going to have enough time Wednesday night to actually make them and then get through that first rise. Or there's going to be so much other chaos happening that I'm going to need to be doing something else at that time. So I think that's the plan. I forget what my aunt is bringing. Maybe corn pudding and dessert. And my mom's doing the turkey, since generally whoever is hosting does the turkey, and she's doing the green bean casserole, and what else? There are a few other things. She'll probably do a Jell-O salad, because we usually do a Jell-O salad. That was the other Thanksgiving recipe that I did last year. So I'll just link that playlist down below. I think I did that and then cleaned the car, and then I think I had a short about these are the high-touch areas that you should clean before guests come over for Thanksgiving. So I'll link that in the description down below just as a little reminder, or if you want to watch more Thanksgiving goodness, you can. If you had not subscribed yet, which if you're not subscribed and you've watched a couple of videos, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I would very much appreciate that. Like I said, I am trying to improve the channel, and we'll be trying to incorporate more nature and just kind of being more in rhythm with the natural seasons into the channel, because I think that's important. It's important to me. I would like to teach my kids about it. Oh, look at Max being so cute. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He's like, I want more pets, Mom. But yeah, but that stuff takes some research, so it's going to be sprinkled in over time. I am excited about one of the decorating videos that I have coming up, because it's going to be, I'm going to try to get that to you for the next video, but I think I'm going to have to film at night possibly to make that happen. So we'll see what I can accomplish. But it is about time to switch over from fall to winter decor. I have a decent amount of winter decor, but I realized we didn't have any decor for our dining area, and I thought that it would be great fun to have kind of like food-themed decor in the dining area. So I am working on that video right now. And I'm trying to think that I do have another kind of like winter-themed video coming up that deals with the fireplace. So I won't explain that now, but there will be a fireplace video coming up soon, which seems a little odd, but I am very excited about it. I had hoped to have that out to you by now, but it is reliant on folks other than me, and their schedules are reliant on folks other than themselves. So things have gotten pushed back, but that's okay. It will get out sometime this winter season. And I say that as if it's winter, but I feel like the unofficial start of winter, at least in America, is the day after Thanksgiving. I feel like that is when, if you have not already put up your Christmas or winter decorations, that you put it up. A lot of people have traditions where the day after Thanksgiving, or even the night of Thanksgiving, that's when you put up your Christmas tree, which is a little bit weird. I've been learning about kind of, I guess it'd be Western European traditions, but traditions surrounding the Christmas tree, which is also tied to traditions surrounding Yule, which is celebrating the winter solstice. And I guess back in the day, and this makes a whole lot more sense than how we do it now, but back in the day, people would bring in their Christmas trees last minute. So like the day before Christmas. And then, please do not quote me on any of this. This is like literally from other YouTubers. I have not researched this on my own. I trust the YouTubers, but I'm probably also going to get it wrong in the retelling. But they would bring in the Christmas tree the night, like on Christmas Eve, right? And then they would decorate it, and it would be up for the holiday. And then they would leave it up for the 12 days of Christmas, because the 12 days of Christmas, if you're unaware, actually comes after Christmas. It starts on Christmas and then goes to, I think that puts you at like January 6th. So they would leave it up for that amount of time, as opposed to, I feel like people now put it up as early as possible, and then after Christmas is over, like, oh, it's been up all month, like, let's take it down. Like, it's well and truly dead now. We use an artificial tree, so it's, we don't have that kind of time constraint, I guess, to think about. And obviously people keep the tree in, they have a pot of water that the tree is sitting in, but I imagine that only can keep it fresh and alive for so long. So yeah, we've kind of, at least in America, we've moved it forward. I don't know if that's true of European tradition, if they put it up in early December, excuse me, or if they wait until closer to Christmas to do that. I'm sure it varies. Like, I say Europe as if it wasn't like this vast continent with many different traditions. But of the parts of Europe that do a Christmas tree, I feel like the traditions come from very similar places. So that will be interesting. I have signed up for I don't want to call it a newsletter, but it's like what would you do? It's almost like an advent calendar, but it's leading up to the winter solstice. And just like reflections for each day and little activities that you can do leading up to the winter solstice. Apologies for the pause. I didn't pause the audio, but I will go back and lower that because I coughed very loudly. But yeah, so I am looking forward to that. It's like a kind of different take on an advent calendar, but I'm excited for that to kind of have something to just prompt me to actually think about the season a little bit differently and not focus so much on oh gosh, I need a present for this person and that person and this person, and getting it all done. I'm hoping this helps me to kind of refocus a little bit. So I'm doing that, and that brought me around of why I started this whole diatribe in the first place, was I know it's weird to me that winter doesn't start until the winter solstice. I mean, it's not weird, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. But in America, I feel like it unofficially starts right after Thanksgiving, just like summer, at least in America. I feel like the unofficial start of that is after Memorial Day, or Memorial Day is the start of the summer, because that's usually around the time when schools get out, or at least where I grew up in the Midwest, schools were generally out by the end of May. Where I'm living now, they go into like mid-June, which weirds me out a little bit, but I guess that technically is to the start of the actual summer season, which I never really thought about that before, but I've always thought it was weird since moving back down south, because it gets so hot in the summer down here. It's like, why would you still want to be like in school when it's so hot out? But then also having the whole summer off from school is, based on agricultural times and all sort of thing. And it made way more sense when I grew up in an agricultural area. And we actually do have quite a lot of farms, not super close in our area, just because we live in the suburbs around the capital city here. But like, you go out of the city and it's country and it's farmland pretty quickly. It's just not the same kind of vast farm super close to us like where I grew up. But yeah, I mean, everyone I knew in high school, or at least my first high school, like, what was your summer job? It was detasseling corn, which I never ended up doing because I moved out from that area when I was 15. But yeah, a lot of people's summer job was detasseling corn, and it sounded like the most awful job on earth. And that's why you paid kids to do it, right? But apparently the money was pretty good, which, good for them, but not something I was ever interested in doing. Because if you've ever lived near a cornfield, you don't want to be walking through a mature cornfield, meaning when the corn has grown to like be 6 feet tall. the corn stalk leaves, I guess, the leafy part of the corn is very unpleasant if you like brush up against it, like the edges are sharp. It's not like Spanish bayonet, which is a type of, like a common name for a type of, what are they called? I think it's a succulent, a type of succulent in the southeast near the Savannah area. It looks like it's going to bend, but it doesn't, and it's very sharp. But they're sharp in like a paper cut way. The corn, that is, not the Spanish bayonet. The Spanish bayonet is like a knife. The corn is like getting a paper cut, and it's very unpleasant. Plus, you don't want to be running around in a farmer's cornfield because he might think you're a deer and try to shoot you, because America, and that's their property. And why are you traveling through someone else's cornfield and tramping up their corn rows so that the tractor can't go properly? Anyhow, wow, that was a massive tangent. But yeah, don't go running through cornfields. That's just not a great thing to do. What on earth was I actually talking about? Oh, I was talking about the start of summer and stuff. So, I feel like we're in this transition period because it's not technically winter, but after Thanksgiving it feels like winter. So one of the decorating videos that I'm going to put up is going to have more kind of like transitional decor that I'm happy about. And like just thinking about it gives me joy. So I really hope that video works out well. Like the filming of it and that sort of thing goes well so that you guys can get a lot of joy from it as well. All right, we have about, math is hard, 5-6 minutes left. We are in the kitchen scrubbing down some pots. Oh my gosh, my nose just cleared and I can finally breathe freely. That's amazing. I feel like one of the things, and my sister and I have talked about this before, one of the things that we should feel more grateful for on a daily basis is being able to breathe clearly through our nose. I feel like we take that for granted a lot. And then when we are not able to do that, we realize, oh, this really sucks. So I feel like maybe we should all be grateful for our good health, and I feel like we just forget about that until the time comes when our health is maybe not superb. So if you're in good health, and I am absolutely in relatively good health, I just have a little bit of congestion. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that it's just like I'm irritated that I'm congested rather than I am struggling to breathe congested, because I've been there before and that sucks. But yeah, let's all be grateful for our relatively good health and the health of our family. Because, you know, it's the season of gratitude, isn't it? And we should do more of that. I do actually have a gratitude journal that I started. I'm actually on my second journal because I like using the really tiny notebooks with the grid paper rather than lined paper. I'm not sure why. Grid paper just makes me happy. I'm sure that's some neurodivergent weirdness. But grid paper is fantastic for the little notebooks. And they're just like little 48-page notebooks. So about a month and a half, and I go through one of them. But I've been writing down 3 things that I'm grateful for in the morning and 3 things that I'm grateful for in the evening. And sometimes they're big things, sometimes they're small things, sometimes they're silly things. But I have been hoping that that has given me a more positive outlook. I do try to do that kind of before I do anything else in the morning, and I do it kind of last thing before bed so that well, I say that last thing before bed, and then I do my decompression stuff. But it's nice to have it in the forefront of your brain kind of when you're falling asleep. Lately, I've been too tired to really be doing anything between my gratitude journal and then trying to fall asleep in bed just because we've been so busy. And I have felt this congestion coming on, and I've been kind of exhausted. So I've been going to sleep pretty immediately after that. But I'm hoping that that leads me to have just a more positive outlook on life and, you know, just make my brain a little bit happier. So, like I said, I've been doing it for, I think, a couple months now. We're coming up on a couple months. And I mean, it's not making things worse by any means. I don't know if it's making things better yet or not, or if it's just a subtle enough difference that I don't notice. But yeah, I'm trying to see things from a more positive perspective because I know I can be not a Debbie Downer, but my brain is such, and I think this is also part of the ADHD, but I regularly go through like worst case scenarios, and it's not because I want to. It's more of like a preparation thing. I'm sure it's an anxiety thing. I know it's an anxiety thing. But it's also just a preparation like, oh, what if this wildly unrealistic thing happens? Like, let me run through a few scenarios so that if that does happen, I'm prepared and I'm not caught unaware. So it's not like I actually think the thing's going to happen or, you know, like I'm not pessimistic in that respect, but I'm like, oh, if that thing did happen, like these are steps that I could take, and now I feel better about it because I know I would be at least somewhat prepared in the moment. That's a little bit of my flavor of crazy, I guess. But yeah, one thing I do remember saying in the voiceover before that got absolutely erased by my computer having a meltdown was that during my therapy sessions, usually I will do laundry during the day. And then during therapy, I'll actually fold the laundry and put up the laundry. And my therapist has told me that it's like somewhat therapeutic to watch me because I'm like so precise with the things. And whenever I watch it back on these videos, I'm like, you know what? She's right. It is calming to see how precise I am doing that. Guys, here is the final walkthrough. Look at the floors. I actually mopped the floors for once. We really need to mop the floors again. There's that bench. Gosh, this is before I even had the entryway fully set up. Look at that. Just some Max toys on the floor, which is absolutely fine because Max deserves to have some fun. My son's Blaze toys are all lined up. If y'all haven't watched that show, it is so freaking hilarious as an adult. Highly recommend. I think they were seriously maybe on some drugs when they made that, if you can say that on YouTube. If not, oops, oh well, we're almost an hour into this. The kitchen is all clean. There's lovely Max. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. As we finish going through and looking at all this stuff, please like, please subscribe. I have a lot of great ideas and wonderful videos coming up. Sorry, this was some old footage that we're just doing a new voiceover for, but sometimes you just got to do what you have the bandwidth to do, and that is what we can do today. Have a good one. Bye.